The ocean was calm that morning, until I saw him. I froze, my heart thudding. It couldn't be. After all these years, after everything that happened, he was standing there, just a few yards away, staring out at the same sea I'd come to escape him from. My son, Ethan, ran ahead of me, laughing, unaware of the storm that had just started inside me. "Mum, come on. The waves are perfect." I couldn't move. I was caught between the past and the present, between the man I once loved and the boy who became my reason to live. "Liam," I whispered under my breath, afraid my voice might break. He turned, and the world tilted. It was him. Older now, his hair sun-touched and his face more tired. But those eyes, I'd know them anywhere. The same blue that once promised forever. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The waves crashed between us like time itself trying to warn me not to look back. Then Ethan tugged my hand. "Mum, look. He's got a dog." I blinked, trying to steady myself. "Yeah, honey. He does." Liam smiled awkwardly. "Hey, Sarah." His voice was gentle, familiar, dangerous. I hadn't heard my name sound like that in 10 years. Between us. "You two know each other." Before I could answer, Liam knelt beside him. "You must be Ethan." He smiled, that same soft, careful smile that once made me believe in things that didn't last. I wanted to walk away. I should have walked away. But something about the way Ethan smiled back made my chest ache. "How do you know my name?" Ethan asked. Liam looked up at me before answering. "Your mom and I. We used to be friends. A long time ago. Friends." The word almost made me laugh. We weren't just friends. We were everything, until the day he left without saying goodbye. I tried to stay calm. "Ethan, why don't you go collect shells for a bit? I'll be right here." "Okay." He ran toward the water, carefree and innocent, the way I used to be. Liam and I stood in silence. The only sound was the waves rolling in, again and again, like the memory that wouldn't fade. "I didn't expect to see you here," he finally said. "I could say the same," I replied. My tone was colder than I meant, but I didn't care. He nodded slowly. "I come here every weekend. It helps clear my head." "Still running from things?" I asked. He sighed. "Still guarding yours?" For a second, our eyes met, and it was like no time had passed. I hated that he could still make my heart trip like that. Then he looked toward Ethan again. "He looks a lot like you." I felt my pulse quicken. "People say that." Liam hesitated. "Sarah, how old is he?" My throat tightened. 9. He did the math in his head. I saw it happen. The flicker of confusion, then realization, then something else. Pain. He stared at me. 9? I crossed my arms, my pulse roaring in my ears. "Don't. Sarah," he said quietly. "Is he?" "Don't finish that sentence." He took a step closer. "You should have told me." I shook my head, my voice trembling. "You lost the right to know anything when you left." The tension between us hung heavy, sharp as the salt in the air. Then Ethan came running back, holding a small shell. "Mum, look what I found." Liam knelt, smiling faintly. "That's a lucky one." Ethan beamed. "You think so?" "I know so," he said. And for a moment, something unspoken passed between them. Something I wasn't ready to face. The wind picked up, cold against my skin. I felt my heart racing, my breath shallow. I needed to get out of there. "Ethan, come on," I said. "Time to go." He pouted. "Already?" "Yes," I said, forcing a smile. "We'll come back another day." Liam straightened. Sarah, please, we need to talk. I turned to him, my voice barely above a whisper. There's nothing left to say. But as I started to walk away, Ethan called out behind me, laughing. Mom! He has the same eyes as me. I froze. Liam did too. The waves crashed louder, as if the ocean itself knew the secret I'd been hiding for 9 long years. I turned slowly, meeting Liam's stunned gaze. And for the first time since that day he left, I saw the truth reflected in his eyes. He knew. That night, I couldn't sleep. The sound of the waves still echoed in my head, and so did his voice. You should have told me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. Older, sadder, but still the same. Still Liam. I sat on the balcony of our small beach rental, wrapped in a blanket, watching the moon lay silver over the sea. Ethan was asleep inside, his little breath steady and soft. He didn't know what his words had done, how one innocent sentence had torn open 9 years of silence. 9 years since I last saw Liam. 9 years since everything changed. It all began in college, a spring day that smelled of fresh paint and possibility. I was sketching near the library steps, trying to capture the way sunlight hit the old stone, when a shadow fell over my page. You're drawing the building, but not the people, a voice said. I looked up. He stood there, tall, relaxed, wearing that easy grin that made people feel seen. The people move too much, I said. Maybe that's the point, he replied, sitting beside me without asking. Buildings don't laugh. They don't fall in love. I rolled my eyes, pretending not to smile. But he was right. He always was. That's how it started. Small moments. Study sessions that turned into long talks. Coffee runs that turned into all-night walks. He made the ordinary feel cinematic. With him, even silence had meaning. He wanted to be a photojournalist, chasing stories around the world. I wanted to paint things that lasted. We were opposites, yet somehow we fit. I still remember the night we made our first promise. We were at the old pier, the one that always creaked when the tide came in. He took my hand and said, "If life ever takes us in different directions, promise me you'll still look for the same stars." I laughed then, thinking it was poetic nonsense. But later, it became the one thing that kept me from hating him completely. Because life did take us in different directions. He got his dream job, a photography assignment overseas. I told him to go. I said I'd be fine. IWSN single quotes T. At first. We talked every night. Calls that lasted hours. Messages that filled every morning. But then, things changed. He got busier. The calls grew shorter. The messages less frequent. And then one day, they stopped altogether. No explanation. No goodbye. Just silence. I waited. For weeks. Then months. When I finally found out I was pregnant, I had no one to tell. I tried reaching him, emails, letters, even calling his old editor. But he was gone. I didn't know. If he'd moved, if he'd chosen someone else, or if something had happened to him. All I knew was that the boy who once promised me the stars had vanished into thin air. So I raised Ethan on my own. And when people asked about his father, I said only, "It's a long story." But sitting there on the balcony now, watching the same sea that had brought him back, I realized I'd never truly stopped wondering what happened. Then my phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. "Sarah, I know I have no right to ask, but please meet me tomorrow morning. Same spot. I need to tell you why I disappeared." My breath caught. I should have deleted it. I should have ignored it. But my fingers trembled as I typed back. 10 a.m. The next morning, I walked to the beach early, heart pounding. The air smelled of salt and beginnings. He was already there, hands in his pockets, eyes tired but hopeful. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said softly. "I almost didn't," I replied. "You owe me the truth." He nodded. "You're right." For a moment he just stared at the water. Then he said, "I didn't leave you because I wanted to." Something in his voice made me still. "Then why?" He looked at me, eyes glinting with something raw. "The plane I was supposed to take that night. It crashed." I froze. "What?" "I missed it by 10 minutes," he said quietly. "I was late because I stopped to buy you flowers. When I found out what happened, I panicked. Everyone thought I'd been on that flight. My photos, my passport, everything was in my luggage. I was listed among the missing." I felt the ground tilt beneath me. "You could have told me you were alive." "I tried," he said. "But by the time I reached out, you'd moved. Your number had changed. I thought maybe you wanted to forget." The waves roared between us, carrying years of what dash ifs dot. Then he pulled something from his jacket, an old photo, weathered at the edges. It was me, sitting by the library steps, sketching the building. "I carried this everywhere," he said. "It reminded me what home felt like." I stared at the photo, my throat tight. "You kept that?" He nodded. "Always." And then he said something I wasn't ready for. Something that made the past crack open all over again. "I came back 6 months later," he whispered. "I went to your apartment, but someone answered the door, your husband." I blinked. "What?" "I thought you'd moved on," he said, pain in every word. "So I left. I thought I'd lost you forever." My breath caught in my chest. I'd never been married. "Liam," I said slowly. "I didn't have a husband." He stared at me, confused. "Then who was he?" I looked out toward the sea, realization dawning cold and sharp. Someone had lied, and that lie had stolen 9 years of our lives. The cafe door chimed as I stepped inside, my hands full of Ethan's backpack and a bag of groceries. I wasn't expecting anyone, but there he was. Liam, sitting in the corner, head bent over a cup of coffee, sunlight catching the edges of his hair. My stomach tightened. He looked up and our eyes met. That same flicker of recognition, and something else, something heavier, passed between us. Neither of us moved. "Sarah," he said softly. His voice hadn't changed. Warm, familiar, and slightly hesitant. "Liam," I replied, forcing calm into my tone. "I didn't know you'd be here." He gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Can I?" I hesitated. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me had been waiting for this moment for years. I set down the bags and slid into the seat opposite him. The cafe buzzed around us, but it felt like we were the only 2 people in the world. "You're different," I said finally, "but the same." He smiled faintly. "I get that a lot." "You too." There was a pause, the kind that stretches longer than it should, filled with memories neither of us dared to speak. "I can't believe it's really you," I said. "After all this time." "I know," he said. "I thought about this moment 1,000 times, but I never imagined it like this." Ethan ran in, his laughter bright, cutting through the tension. "Mom! Look!" He waved a seashell triumphantly. I smiled at him, and Liam's eyes softened as he watched. "He's grown so much," he said quietly. "Yeah," I said, and then realized how little we really knew about each other's lives in those years. "He's my world. I can see that," Liam said, voice low. Reminds me of you." I felt warmth and ache at the same time. "Thanks." We fell into a kind of conversation that felt easy but fragile. We talked about small things first. The cafe, the weather, the little changes in the neighborhood. And yet, every sentence carried weight, every glance full of unsaid words. Finally, he leaned back, studying me. Sarah, about back then. I froze slightly. We've been over that. It's in the past. He shook his head. No, not fully. There are things you don't know. Things I never told you. I frowned. Like what? He glanced at Ethan, then back at me. After I left, I tried to reach you a few times. But someone blocked me. I couldn't get through. And I thought you didn't want me anymore. I felt the sting of old memories. I didn't hear from you for months. I didn't know if you were alive or gone. I know, he said, voice barely above a whisper. I should have kept trying. I didn't answer immediately. The words were simple, but they carried years of regret, of love lost and almost forgotten. Then he looked at me, eyes sharp, vulnerable. Sarah, I never stopped caring about you. Not for a second. My breath caught. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words stuck in my throat. Ethan tugged at my sleeve. Mum, can we get ice cream? I nodded, standing. Liam followed my gaze to my son, his expression unreadable. He's amazing, he said softly. You did a great job. I smiled faintly. He's lucky, I guess. Lucky to have a life I can give him, even if it's not perfect. He reached for his cup, fingers brushing the rim. And lucky to have you. Still here. The words lingered between us. Heavy and warm, carrying a weight neither of us could ignore. I swallowed hard, looking away. Liam, some things are complicated. You know that. I do, he said. But maybe not as complicated as we thought. I felt a flicker of hope. Dangerous, fragile, but alive. Ethan tugged again. Mum? I knelt to him, smiling. Let's go get that ice cream, okay? As we walked toward the door, Liam followed. Close enough to see me. Close enough that I felt the pull I had tried to deny for years. I'll wait, he said softly, just for me to hear. For as long as it takes. I didn't answer, but the warmth in my chest told me he meant it. Outside, the sun was higher now, lighting the waves in a way that reminded me of the mornings we used to share. The past and present collided in that moment, leaving me breathless. And as we stepped onto the sidewalk, I realized that whatever we had lost wasn't gone entirely. It was waiting, like the tide. Ready to return. The choice wasn't mine yet. But the possibility, it was alive. The cafe had emptied. Ethan was at the counter, choosing a chocolate ice cream, humming to himself. Liam and I sat at the table, 2 steaming coffees between us, untouched. He looked at me, his eyes searching. Sarah, I need to tell you everything. The whole truth. I nodded slowly, gripping the cup but not drinking. Then say it. He exhaled, voice low. After the flight incident, I was alive, but everything fell apart. My family, my work. It all went sideways. And then, he paused, swallowing hard. I got a letter from someone claiming to be a friend of yours. They said you were married, that you'd moved on. I didn't check. I just left. I thought I was too late. I blinked, heart pounding. Married? I've never been married. I know, he said, voice breaking slightly. I found out later that by then I was scared. I thought you'd hate me. Thought you'd built a life without me. I stared at him. Liam, you could have reached me. Anyway, you didn't even try. I tried, he whispered. I looked for years. Every contact, every friend. And when nothing came up, I convinced myself you didn't want me. The silence between us grew heavy. charged. I wanted to cry, to yell, to laugh. I wanted all of it at once. I raised Ethan alone, I said quietly. I waited. I wondered. I hoped. And you disappeared. He nodded. I know, I can't undo that. But I've come back. Because I have to. Because I never stopped thinking about you, about him. He glanced at Ethan. About your son. I shook my head, breath shallow. Liam, do you understand what it was like? To love someone and not know if they were alive. I do, he said softly. Every day. Every moment. I woke up and it was always you, Sarah. Always the thought of you and him. Tears pricked at the corner of my eyes. Then why? Why wait so long to find me? Because I was scared, he admitted. Scared you'd never forgive me. Scared you wouldn't want to see me again. I looked at him, really looked. There was no pretense, no charm. Just honesty, raw and shaking. And now? I asked. Why here? Why now? He reached across the table, fingers brushing mine lightly. Because I couldn't stay away anymore. I needed you to know the truth. I needed you to see me. Not the story you were told. Not the version you imagined, me. I swallowed. The truth was heavier than I expected. I wanted to push him away. I wanted to forgive him. I wanted to collapse into him all at once. Liam, I whispered, I don't know if I can just go back to the way things were. Not after all these years. I don't want the way things were, he said quietly. I want what could be. If you'll let me try. The words lingered, fragile and dangerous. I could feel my heart responding, even as my mind screamed caution. I looked toward Ethan, laughing at his ice cream. I wanted to protect this life, this love, from getting tangled in old pain. But I also wanted to let Liam in. I don't know, I admitted. I can't promise anything. I don't need a promise, he said, voice low, steady. I just need a chance to show you. We sat in silence again, letting the words hang. Outside, the sky had brightened. Sunlight spilled across the table, catching the steam from our coffees. I realized then that this moment, this truth laid bare, had changed everything. Nothing would be the same. And yet, even with the clarity, a fear pulsed through me. Could I trust someone who had vanished for years, even when it wasn't really their fault? Could I risk my heart again? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. I glanced at it. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, then opened it. A single message blinked on the screen. Sarah, there's something about Liam you don't know. Something you need to see before you decide. I looked up at him. He was smiling gently. Unaware of the message. My chest tightened. The truth I thought I had just uncovered might only be the beginning. And for the first time in years, I realized that everything I believed about the past might be a lie. I stared at the message on my phone, heart hammering. Sarah, there's something about Liam you don't know. Something you need to see before you decide. I looked up at him. He was smiling gently, unaware, and my chest ached with the weight of the unknown. Liam, I whispered. There's something I need to see before we decide anything. His smile faltered. What is it? I didn't answer. Instead, I turned my phone off and slid it into my pocket. The message could wait. I needed the truth that mattered most. The one in front of me. We walked along the beach, Ethan running ahead, collecting seashells and tossing them into the waves. The sun was warm on my face, and the ocean stretched endlessly, silver and calm. I felt the years between us dissolve with every step. I want to understand, I said, finally. Everything that happened. I don't want to live with questions anymore. He nodded. I want that too. We sat on the sand, Liam took a deep breath. The letter you never got. It wasn't from me. It was a mistake. Someone pretending to be a friend. They wanted to keep us apart. I couldn't reach you because they blocked me. I thought you'd moved on, that you didn't want me. And I left. Thinking I was protecting you. I felt tears prick at my eyes. You weren't protecting me. You were gone when I needed you most. I know, he said, voice breaking. And I've regretted it every day. For a long moment, we just looked at each other. The waves lapped against the shore, carrying our past away bit by bit. I forgive you, I whispered. The words surprised me with their ease. I forgive you, Liam. Because love. Because he. I nodded toward Ethan, who was laughing, chasing a seagull. Because life gave me a second chance with him, and maybe with you too. He reached for my hand. Careful, gentle. You don't know how long I've waited to hear that. The warmth of his touch felt like sunlight, filling a part of me I thought was lost forever. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a crumpled envelope. I found this while going through my old things. I never sent it, but I carried it with me every day. I opened it carefully. Inside was a letter, faded and worn. Sarah, if you ever read this, know that nothing could ever change how I feel. Even if life separates us, I will always carry you in my heart. Liam. I looked up at him, eyes wide. You wrote this all those years ago. He nodded, a shy smile on his lips. I didn't know if you'd ever see it, but I wanted you to know. Love never fades. Ethan ran up to us, holding a handful of shells. Look, I found more treasures. I laughed, my heart light for the first time in years. Liam knelt beside Ethan, smiling at him. These are amazing, buddy. Just like your mom. I watched them, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't known I could feel again. The past was behind us, and the future. The future felt open, wide and promising. I turned to Liam. So? What now? He smiled, soft and certain. Now we live. We take it one day at a time. Together. I nodded, squeezing his hand. The ocean sparkled before us, endless and forgiving. Ethan picked up a shell and handed it to me. For you, Mom, so you never forget the sun. I took it, holding it close to my heart. It reminded me of all the mornings I had missed, all the moments lost, and now, all the moments still ahead. Liam leaned closer. We'll make new memories. Every day we'll make them count. I smiled, feeling my heart swell with hope. Yes, every single day. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of salt and possibility. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Some love waits for a lifetime, quietly patient, ready to return when the timing is finally right. I looked at Liam and then at Ethan, the two people who had brought me back to life. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in gold and rose dot, and for the first time in years, I felt whole. Because love had found its way back, and this time, I wasn't letting go. The ocean whispered, the waves glimmered, and I knew some endings are really beautiful beginnings.